Welcome to Honey Explains Money, your guide to financial clarity, where money stops being confusing and starts making sense for everyone. Let's begin this journey together right now.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a concept that might completely rewrite how you approach your career, your side hustle, or, just your creative projects in general. We're exploring why the absolute fastest way to build your professional skill and achieve massive success might actually feel a whole lot like cheating. Sound crazy? Well, let's jump right in. To really wrap our heads around this, we have to start by looking at a major, almost invisible problem that's probably holding you back right this very second. It's your ego. It's this desperate, burning need we all seem to have to be completely original. We all want to be the sole architect of our success, right? But what if that exact desire for originality is the very thing keeping you stuck?
Okay, imagine two gas stations literally right across the street from each other. Same neighborhood, exact same gas prices. But one of them is just crushing it. Wildly successful, crazy loyal customers, cars practically around the block. Why? Because they do these tiny, almost free things. They wipe your windshield, they check your tire pressure, just simple stuff. Now across the street, the failing gas station is hemorrhaging money every single month. The winning formula is right there, staring them in the face every single day. Yet the failing owner absolutely refuses to copy it just because of pride. They insist on doing things their way, even if it drives them straight into bankruptcy. When you think about it, it's absolutely absurd.
What this little scenario tells us is that humans have something weird wired deep into our DNA that prevents us from adopting good ideas easily. I want you to think about your own life for a second. The solution to your biggest bottleneck might literally be sitting right in front of you. Somebody else has already figured it out. The method is proven, it's working flawlessly for them, but you won't use it simply because you want to be the one who invented it. Well, let me introduce you to someone who completely bypassed this little DNA flaw. His name is Mohnish Pabrai. He was just a regular engineer who made a massive decision to leave his ego at the door. He proudly, and I mean proudly, calls himself a shameless cloner, specifically a cloner of the legendary investor Warren Buffett. By completely shedding his ego and refusing to reinvent the wheel, Pabrai made $154 million. No joke. So how did this happen? This incredible journey actually kicked off in the mid-90s, with Pabrai just sitting in Heathrow Airport between flights. He picks up a book called One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch, and in it, he reads that Warren Buffett was pulling in 31% returns a year for over 40 years straight. I mean, that's a game most people can't even get 10% in. Right then and there, Pabrai decides, you know what, I'm not going to try to be smarter than Buffett. I'm not going to add my own brilliant twist. He decides he's just going to copy him, literally. For the next 20-plus years, he meticulously studies Buffett. He goes to his annual meetings, he copies how he structures his morning, exactly how much he reads, and he even insists on working completely alone, just like Buffett does. Finally, in 2007, he dropped $650,000 on a charity lunch just to sit down with the man. Now, when the news broke about that lunch, people thought Pabrai and his buddy were absolutely out of their minds to pay over $500,000 for one single meal. But to Pabrai, this was Guru Dakshina. It's this beautiful traditional Hindu concept that represents a profound gift or offering you give to a spiritual teacher once your education is complete. Buffett had, entirely unknowingly, turned this regular engineer into a multimillionaire and completely changed his life trajectory. So, that massive payment, it was simply a huge thank you to the master he had so shamelessly cloned.
And when people ask Pabrai why more folks don't clone the way he does, his answer is just brutally simple. He says, they have too much ego. I don't care if you think I am unoriginal, I care about winning. That is the absolute crux of it. To be a truly great cloner and really build that professional skill, you have to care infinitely more about getting real results than whether or not somebody labels you a copycat. He's not out there trying to win points for creativity. He just wants to win the game.
And this brings us face to face with what we really should call the originality trap. Think about it. From the time we're little kids, schools condition us to believe that copying is fundamentally bad. We call it cheating, right? We literally punish people for it. And that deeply ingrains this false belief in our heads that in order to be successful or to have any real value, we must invent absolutely everything from scratch. We get totally trapped into thinking that looking to others for answers is some sort of moral failing, instead of seeing it for what it actually is, a massive strategic advantage. Because here's the reality that the ultra-successful rarely go out of their way to advertise. Almost every massively successful person started by copying.
Just look at Sam Walton's playbook. The guy who built the biggest retail chain on planet Earth, Walmart, literally built his empire by walking right into his competitors' stores with a simple notepad and a pen. He shamelessly scribbled down their floor layouts. He replicated exactly how they arranged their shelves. He studied exactly where they placed their signs. He even called doing this the absolute best part of his job. Walton wasn't held back by some misplaced embarrassment. He was too busy building a global empire through cloning. Which leads me to ask you this very direct question. If you have a YouTube channel, or maybe a side hustle, or a business that just isn't growing the way you want it to, are you trying to be original before you actually understand the rules of the game? Because almost every single time a creator or an entrepreneur gets stuck, it's because they're skipping over those proven fundamentals. They're trying to inject their own unique flavor entirely too soon.
Let me give you a perfect example. Take a struggling YouTube recipe creator and compare her to her massive, super successful competitor. Now, the competitor's proven formula is crystal clear: 30-second videos, no subtitles, zero background music, no recipe on the screen, and highly data-backed topic selection. It works. But our struggling creator? She arrogantly did the exact opposite. She added music, she forced the full recipe onto the screen, and she just totally guessed what her audience wanted. Why? Because she convinced herself it made the video more useful, and she wanted to be, you guessed it, original. She completely ignored the hard data that her multi-million view competitor had already figured out for her.
Fortunately, this creator got a wake-up call. The exact moment she dropped her ego, stopped trying to reinvent the wheel, and started exactly cloning that proven, minimal framework of her competitors, everything changed, literally overnight. 3 months later, she hit 100,000 views on a single video. And then, she blew right past the 500,000 mark, 500,000 views. She didn't invent a single new thing. She just allowed herself to clone what already worked so she could actually learn the game.
Think about building professional skill like becoming a master barber. An arrogant beginner walks into a shop on day one, completely ignores the seasoned pros, and tries to invent a brand new haircutting technique. I mean, that's a guaranteed disaster, right? But the smart apprentice? They stand quietly behind the master. They copy every single tilt of the scissors, every subtle wrist movement, even how they talk to the customer. You have to let your hands genuinely understand the craft through copying long before your brain is ever allowed to experiment.
Now, I know what you might be thinking right now. I don't want to just be a mindless copycat forever. And you shouldn't be. That's the secret here. True originality actually emerges from cloning multiple masters. Think back to Mohnish Pabrai. Yes, he cloned his investing strategies directly from Warren Buffett, but he also cloned thinking models from Charlie Munger, foundational principles from Benjamin Graham, and life decisions from all sorts of different philosophers. By taking the very best from the absolute best and combining them, he created an entirely original, unbeatable system. He openly admits he doesn't have a single original idea, yet absolutely no one else put those specific, cloned puzzle pieces together quite the way he did.
So, if you want to actually build professional skill and build it rapidly, you've got to follow this exact 3-step framework for shameless cloning. Step 1, find your Buffett. Whether you're a YouTuber, a coder, or an entrepreneur, pick the one absolute master in your specific niche who has the exact results you want, and go all in on them. Step 2, clone the entire system, especially, and I can't stress this enough, especially the boring parts. And step 3, only allow yourself to adjust and experiment after you have fully 100% mastered their baseline.
See, to truly build professional skill, you cannot make that sneaky ego mistake of just dipping your toes in. You know how it is. You hear one good idea and you say, oh, maybe I'll use that one little piece. That doesn't work. You have to commit 10,000%. You can't just clone the one big flashy insight. You have to clone the 1,000 boring, mundane decisions that actually generate the success. How do they structure their morning? How do they handle daily distractions? How ruthlessly do they protect their working time? What are their daily reading habits? It's just like the gym. You can't just do the 3 exercises you actually enjoy and expect to get ripped. You have to do the whole program.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this. The very next time you feel stuck, frustrated, or like your craft just isn't advancing the way it should, I want you to look in the mirror and ask yourself honestly, am I actually copying what already works, or am I letting my ego force me to be original before I've even mastered the absolute basics? True professional skill isn't about inventing the wheel on day one. It is about mastering the proven formulas that are already waiting for you right across the street. The question is, are you finally willing to drop the ego and use them?
Thanks for watching Honey Explains Money. Subscribe for more powerful insights on wealth and finance. See you in the next video.